Hello and welcome to a very special reaction video for WrestleMania XL Kickoff show, which has just not long finished. And of course, we got some fireworks. And if you weren't expecting the fireworks, then I don't know what you were waiting for. But I personally have just sat and watched what I think was some great programming by WWE. Speculation been running rampant all day. Were we going to get The Rock versus Roman Reigns? Were we going to get Cody versus Roman Reigns? Were we going to get something completely different? And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But as it appears right now, let's start things off by saying it appears it is official that we are going to have Cody Rhodes challenging Roman Reigns for the championship and the main event of WrestleMania XL. But, and that has to have a huge but on there, it does appear that all might not be as it seems, because as we went off the air, there was a lot of tension going on. There was some fireworks at the end. When we finally got everyone on the stage, we were treated to a bit of a show, a bit of a slap in the face, as Pat McAfee was saying towards the end of the panel. So what have we got? We are going to go through it. Let's kind of rewind. So all day today, we were promised that some special things were going to happen. We were promised a press event that was going to be coming live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, where the US's press is all across in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, which is taking place this weekend on the Sunday at Raiders Stadium. So WWE wanted to capitalize. They had a captive audience in the sense of there's a lot of the media already there. They wanted people to come and find out a little bit more about WrestleMania. So where better to do it than where everyone's gathered? There was speculation that we might be getting an announcement for next year's WrestleMania, for WrestleMania 41. Would it be in Las Vegas? We didn't get that. That is not what we got. So anyone who's booked a hotel may have done it a bit too prematurely, because I believe if they were going to do it in Las Vegas, it would have been tonight that they announced it. So it doesn't appear that that is going to happen. There's still speculation as to where WrestleMania 41 will happen. I'd imagine if we don't find out before, there'll be some sort of video package on the night of WrestleMania XL explain where that will be, and it will be some sort of hype package, and it'll probably be worth the wait. Lots of speculation still that it could be Minneapolis, so watch that space, but it does not appear to be that WrestleMania 41 will be in Las Vegas anyway. So we kick things off with a great hype package around the history and the heritage and the prestige of WrestleMania, which WWE does very well in terms of production value. It was fantastic just seeing the first WrestleMania all the way through, the big names, the faces, the clips that we all come to expect when we think about WrestleMania. And then when we went through, let me just get my notes, we met with a panel that was taking place inside the T-Mobile Arena, and I've got to say there was a lot of people there. Now I understand the tickets were free; you could literally just turn up and go as a fan event, and it would go. They were selling some on-location packages, I think it's called, where you could be in the front few rows, get right up close and personal. There was a few, I think some people afterwards were going for like drinks or cocktails with some of the people like Triple H or Cody Rhodes, etc. So yeah, lots of things going on if you wanted to get involved in that. It was streamed live on YouTube, X, Twitch. You can see all of the good stuff there, all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Sponsored by Pizza, as we kept hearing all night as well. We heard some mixed receptions for both The Rock and Cody Rhodes. We've got to be quite clear here. It wasn't just the fact that the crowd was completely behind Cody. They definitely weren't completely behind The Rock. We'll get into that side of things later on. But we did start things off with a great panel of Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and CM Punk and Big E. Lovely to see Big E back on, who was looking well. They gave some updates on their own things. And it looks like, yeah, we had these kind of videos of people arriving to Las Vegas. Roman Reigns and The Rock looking quite happy. The Rock was talking a lot about the long game, the long vision. And so we got this as our panel, who we're kind of discussing like they do on the pre-shows for the premium live events. You have people around a desk having their opinions on what we're going to see, what they'd like to see. You had a lovely moment where Big E said that he's firmly behind Cody Rhodes because of all the stuff that he did for John Huber's family, you know, in that situation, which I thought was a lovely touch, because that's very personal to Big E, and I thought it was great that he kind of called that out, and that's why he was backing Cody. CM Punk was being CM Punk the whole night. He just said people need to punch people in the face if they've got a problem. Cody needs to stand up for himself. Gave a bit of an update on his arm. He said he's a week on from his surgery. He's not 100%, but his mouth still works, so he's going to be around. He'll be getting in people's faces and will be present, which is great to hear, because he's not just going to disappear until he's ready to go back in the ring. He's going to make some enemies, I'm sure, and we'll get into what he said at the end as well, because it was classic CM Punk. And AEC blaze it up, but has his kind of big brace on at the moment, just to make sure there's no kind of knocks to it. But yeah, we saw CM Punk looking, back on his feet, which is great to see, and just giving us an update there. It was a full production for what it's worth. We had this big stage. We had, like the flashy lights that we come to expect. There was probably a few thousand people in it, and that's great for an event where it has actually no wrestling. It was just talking, so you can see the how people are excited for WrestleMania XL. That's only a few months away now. We're getting very close to it. I thought Punk gave a great analogy when he was asked about The Rock being dropped in, and he said, we're here in Las Vegas when the Super Bowl is. It would be effectively like having Tom Brady being dropped into the Super Bowl, an absolute legend. You don't like it, but you understand it because he's got that kind of prestige around him. We then went backstage, and we had a couple of people like Jackie Redmond and Byron Saxton were backstage getting some interviews, one of which was with Paul Heyman. He cut a promo saying, everyone wants to fight Roman Reigns, that's why we're all here. It's the same business as usual. Everyone wants to face Roman at Mania, and that's how it's always going to be as well. There was an official announcement. We're getting WWE Speed, which is going to air live on X, which is going to feature matches no longer than 5 minutes long, and it's going to be a sort of new way to have WWE content. And these are different matches. I believe these are filmed before SmackDown, so you get these 5 minute matches where apparently the clock's on. They only have 5 minutes to kind of go, so it's a real fast pace. Just the way the world works these days, they want to consume content very quickly. And this kind of steers very much into that. So it's a collaboration with X or Twitter, whatever you want to kind of call it. But WWE is going to be working with them on that for WWE Speed, which, as I say, those matches are filmed live on SmackDown or before SmackDown. Triple H was then out. He came out first out of everyone, and he just basically hyped up the heritage and the prestige of WrestleMania. Gave a great speech about, like the first one became... It pushed WWE from being a regionalized company into the sort of juggernaut that it is today. Went down his usual CEO route rather than the kind of Triple H route that we've seen. It was very much a kind of corporate speech by him, but very much to ramp up the crowd, get them ready. We then got Bianca Belair, who I think was a bit of a strange choice personally, because she's not got a match yet. That was kind of evident that it was more because she's obviously got her new documentary series with Montez Ford, so there's a little bit of a plug for that, saying that she will be there. But yeah, definitely an interesting choice to have Bianca. It strikes that I would have wished that Bayley was there personally. I think Bayley would have deserved a bit of a chance to speak, because she obviously won the Rumble. She had that great moment last week where she picked Io that she's going to be going up against. So it would be nice to have had Bayley there, but they obviously, as a company, have other things that they want to push. Well, I'm sure we'll see more about that on SmackDown tomorrow, which you can see over on Give It Hull. Yeah, you can do the watch along with Sam tomorrow night. Let me know, guys, if you have been watching. I want to know your thoughts, so drop them in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Are we all the way to WrestleMania's main event, or is there going to be a sting in the tail? Is there a twist coming out? But as we went on, we got Rhea Ripley was out next, who hyped up the upcoming pay-per-view Elimination Chamber in her home country of Australia, in Perth, which is only a couple of weekends away now. We're flying towards that, and they've got some spots to fill for the Elimination Chamber for her title, or a shot at her title, because she's actually facing Nia Jax. So we've got Becky Lynch. She came out to say she is in the Elimination Chamber and she's going to win it to go to face her at WrestleMania. So we had a bit of a showdown between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, which definitely sets the table for that at WrestleMania XL. And then we really got into it. So we had Seth Rollins come out in Seth Rollins attire, and that's the only way you can kind of explain it. Suit with his fancy weird shoes on, and then he was kind of talking. He was interrupted by Roman, and then Roman was kind of was talking, and then he said it's now his chance to be the one who talks and to be the one who decides WrestleMania and the main event of WrestleMania, and he chooses The Rock. Out comes The Rock, and while The Rock's kind of doing his thing of soaking in the atmosphere in the crowd, Seth's kind of saying to Roman, "This isn't your decision to make. That's not how this works." The Rock then goes on a bit of a speech, interrupted and punctuated throughout by the crowd that was there. And this is where things got a bit interesting, because throughout the night, if The Rock was mentioned, if he was up on the screen, he did get a loud chorus of boos. He got cheers from some sections, but I would say the overwhelming reaction for The Rock was boos, which, you know, he hasn't heard in a long time. Used to coming back the hero, but he was very much, I would say, kind of started things off as a bit of a pantomime villain, because some people didn't like it. But yeah, very, very strange reactions, and we'll get into that. I've got a couple of people who are in the comments, so I just want to say hello. So Mason's in. Cody and Jay versus Roman and Rock at Chamber. We'll see. I'd be surprised if they get if we get The Rock at anything other than WrestleMania, because that would only be 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away tomorrow, I believe, or 2 days. 2 weeks, 2 days, and then we'll be at the Chamber. I'm not sure if that's enough time, and I don't think Roman was ever actually planned to be there. So unless there's a change of plans on WWE side, I don't see that happening. But they definitely seem to hint. We'll get into why that could be a possibility. And Martin, nice to see you in as always, mate. Evening, morning. I don't even know what day or time it is after the drama. We're getting into the drama right now, Martin. If you are watching this live in the US, over here in the UK, it's 20 to 2. So we're at 1:39 in the morning. But it's not as late as if you were staying up for a premium live event. But nice to have you in, Martin. What did you think of the proceedings today? You said drama, but let me know, were you a fan of it? Does it get you excited? Does it get you pumped up for going to WrestleMania? But as I said, we had that. We had everyone here, and what happened towards the end is saying The Rock came out. He then did start talking. We eventually heard from The Rock, and he effectively accepted the challenge that Roman had laid down. They talked about it being the biggest match of all WrestleMania history, the best main event, the biggest main event. And then this is where things got very interesting. He threw up on the big screen on the Titan that we've just seen, if you want to call it the Tron we saw, the heritage, the family tree of the bloodline, which looked really cool graphic to have on the screen, and I'm sure you'll see some pictures that will come out in the following days, etc. But yeah, I was very interested to see that, and then he kind of said something that insinuated that all was about to kick off, because what we saw was The Rock say, "This is the only family that matters in wrestling. This is the family in wrestling," which obviously goes against Cody Rhodes, his entrance as there's more than one family in wrestling. So you knew things were about to kick off. And everyone else had these big flashy entrances with their music, the chance to soak in, the crowd's reaction. But Cody Rhodes, instead of all that, just came out on the microphone, no music, no fanfare. He interrupted to say this is BS, and instantly said, this is my decision to make. I've had that conversation with you, Cody, with you, Rock, but now it's my time to make that decision. So the person I'm deciding to face in the main event, pause for dramatic effect, is you, Roman. So yeah, we got Roman versus Cody. And or did we? This is where the kind of question is raised, because what went down after that was there was a bit of a sort of back and forward where I think Cody was feeling that his family was being slighted. Roman outright called out Cody's father, Dusty Rhodes, ran him down, to which Cody responded. And I liked one of the lines he made, which said, "You're fighting over being the head of the table, but why does it matter? Because none of you have been around to cook anything anyway," which got a good reaction. So Cody going on the offense, which was nice to see. I think he'd been riled by some of the comments about, like one family, and that's not what he kind of stands for. But yeah, we got Cody a bit more fired up than we used to see him, outright calling him out, and then some words were spoken back where basically Cody said, if your father, your grandfather was around, they would be ashamed of you and what you're trying to do here, which basically drew the ire of The Rock, who stepped forward. We had a bit of a stare down between Cody and The Rock before The Rock basically said, how dare you? And if you're insulting his blood, you're insulting my blood. His family is my family. The Rock and Roman kind of stood together before The Rock slapped the taste out of Cody's mouth. And by this point, we had both the GMs, we had Triple H out on the stage. They made sure that they were kind of like kept apart. There was a lot of sort of blanked out. I don't know if it was the same for everyone else, but certainly the feed that I was watching on YouTube, we got a lot of sort of dead noise because there was seemingly a lot of swearing going on, which they couldn't have going out on some of the channels. But even Seth looked a bit shocked and pissed off about the whole situation. And The Rock was basically insinuating that he can get away with doing anything he wants because they're the bloodline and they're the most important family. He obviously sits on the board. And then eventually they wrestled kind of Cody and Seth like walked off as well, leaving The Rock and Roman on the stage. No more words were spoken on the stage though. It cut back to the panel who were back in amongst all the crowd. So yeah, a little bit messy, as Martin says here. Incredibly confusing. If Cody was picking Roman anyway, what was the point of the end to last week's SmackDown? Feels like one huge mess. Like they keep changing their minds. A lot to ponder. So here's the thing, and it can only ever be an opinion at this stage. I feel like they had made a decision to go in one direction and maybe pivoted when they saw the reaction, that kind of fallout. We did cover that on Sunday where we were going through some of the stats, the figures of over 500,000 dislikes on that particular video of The Rock coming back out last Friday on SmackDown. But I think the main thing here is they've got you talking. They've got everyone talking about WrestleMania. They've got everyone talking about The Rock, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and that's what you want. It's PR, it's publicity. It might seem messy, but at the end of the day, they've got everyone tuning in to what effectively was a press conference. There wasn't any kind of table. It was just a big stage. It wouldn't have cost them much at all, especially when you consider how many people tuned in. I think at one point I saw on YouTube, there were well over like towards 400,000 people watching live. And that's obviously just going to increase as people around the world wake up and recap on it. And that YouTube video will just get loads of hits, and the hype for WrestleMania continues. And even on the back of it, it's messy. There's things that will come out of it in terms of like, are we going to get a tag team match? Like Mason said, it certainly seemed to insinuate that The Rock and Roman were in step, because after everyone had left and we heard from the panel, they cut backstage to Jackie Redmond, who was speaking to Triple H. Triple H was saying there's some things obviously that they've got to kind of get like sorted out and made official. And then as he was talking, he was interrupted by The Rock and Roman walking past. The Rock fuming, chucking swear words and insults. I don't know exactly what was said, but something shocking was said, because that everyone looked very uncomfortable what The Rock had said, and Triple H responding with, "Yes, and you're lucky too." So I presume there was something about families or something that was said, as Triple H looked a little bit stunned. I'm not sure if it was out of pocket or not, but I'm sure we'll find out off someone exactly what was said in that moment. But yeah, there was a lot of F-bombs dropped, which was interesting because it all got very spicy on stage. As Christian said, they actually went ahead and created the Will Smith slap, keep my family's name out of your effing mouth. Yeah, pretty much. There was a lot of like back and forward about the whole like family and respect. So I'm not sure this is done for now. I'm sure we'll know more on SmackDown when we roll around to Friday. It certainly seems like there's some things to sort out, because it was an interesting visual to see Triple H get interrupted by The Rock and Roman walking together, Paul Heyman with them. I even heard at one point Triple H say to Paul Heyman, get him under control, talking to The Rock, and Paul Heyman saying, I'm not his representative, I'm not his advocate. And yeah, it seemed like there was some shots between The Rock towards Triple H, which is interesting. It's cool. It's kind of like bringing that like gritty realism in that we've not too used to in recent years. It's getting better, but it's not been kind of around for a little while. I liked the chaos, and everything, and that's what Pat McAfee was saying at the end on the panel. He was like, "If this is the way that WWE is going, sign me up." Like, I'm excited for it. I think this might be some way of getting a triple threat. Still could be on the cards if they kind of go Cody in, and it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out, because now it feels like maybe they are like something between the Rock and Roman Reigns are in it together. There was even, I think, a suggestion by Big E. Does this mean that we might get both matches at WrestleMania? Are we going to see them on different nights? Because he even said it's a 2-night thing. And I get those pundits and those panels are kind of just opinions, but it's interesting that like a WWE employee would even put that out there. We've seen WWE seemingly respond to the noise around everything in the last week, and they've steered massively into it. So I think it was an interesting dynamic. It was a very interesting way of doing things. It's not something WWE have done before, but it made WrestleMania feel like a massive deal, and I think we can all agree on that one. As Eva had said earlier on, I think it's exciting. It's been exciting enough for people to be wondering what was going to happen all day. Speculation was running rampant, and we finally got a couple of answers and probably about 10 more questions on the back of it. So let's see which direction they're going to go in moving forward. Martin's made a real good point there. Do you feel the same way I do, that it felt like a very UFC type presser? It felt steered in that direction. I wouldn't say it was exactly like a UFC press conference that they do, all the weigh-ins, etc. But certainly at points where they had them on the stage doing the stare downs, it was along that ilk. And Las Vegas is a perfect place to do that and build that. I will say props to the crowd that was there, because they were noisy, especially for a crowd. Yes, it was free, but they're getting involved in something that you don't actually see any wrestling. You get to see some wrestlers on the stage cutting a couple of promos, but that was it. There was no kind of anything else really, other than a big slap from The Rock. So yeah, great crowd, great atmosphere, who were lapping it all up, which made it for great viewing. So yeah, we're going to wrap things up because we've gone through everything there is. Keep the comments coming. I'll stick around for the next couple of minutes. I'd love to know whether you still want to see Cody versus Roman. Where does that leave Seth? Because Seth was out there kind of having Cody's back, which was interesting, because he'd said on Monday Night Raw he needed this match as much as Cody did. It may be even more, because he wanted to prove himself that he is the best. But Seth was out there. He came out first. He kind of stuck out there. The longer it went on, the longer it felt like it was going to be, Cody's going to come out and call out Roman, which is exactly what we got. So as it stands, the main event at WrestleMania is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. But they did go at pains to say that The Rock is on the board. He's the boss. He can make up like what he wants to do. And the other thing, we did see a lot of CM Punk afterwards basically saying, if someone slaps me in the face, I'm going to punch them in the teeth. And that's what people need to start doing. He started kind of throwing things around, saying there's a lot of man buns in the WWE at the moment, and not a lot of men. So yeah, CM Punk went into a bit of business for himself at the end, probably some shots towards his previous company as well, saying, if someone comes up to me and punches me, then I'm going to fight back. I'm going to knock their teeth in. That's what people need to do. That's what Cody needs to do. He needs to stand his ground. He said Seth needs to start standing up for himself as well. So where does that leave Seth? Does it have a possibility of it being The Rock? I still think we're going to get Drew and possibly Sammy versus Seth in a triple threat match. Be a bit awkward to have The Rock in there against Seth, unless they do something where they have, I don't know, some sort of match where they're all going to do double duty, but that's a bit risky with Seth's injury potentially. How do you fit that, actually working with Cody versus Seth? I think what we're probably going to get is a triple threat, possibly on both nights, but that would, again, the dynamic would feel very strange for a triple threat match to headline both. But the great news is we're talking about it, and I want to hear what you've got to say as well. So let us know, even after I go off here. Shoot us some comments either on here. Shoot us some comments on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm hyped. I'm excited. It's nearly 2 a.m. here in the UK, and I'm still buzzing off of what I've just seen. It might be easy enough for some people to be like, it was a bit like kind of hokey, a bit planned, but I thought everyone played their parts very well. It's interesting to see that The Rock's steering into this heel persona that he seems creating, like the whole calling people names, and was it Cody Crybaby, and not really caring what other people think. This is like the match that he wanted, and he kind of looked like he was a bit pissed off that he's not going to get his match as well. And let's face it, The Rock's now a Hollywood actor as well, so he did his job very well there. Roman going over the head of seemingly trying to go ahead of Cody and making the decision for him, that he'd have to go, as in his words, go sit at the B table, go sit with the B champion. That's where he wanted. You're not wanted here. Just kind of annoyed Cody even more. And then we also got to see a little bit of an edge to Cody, which has been missing. It's great to see with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. So yeah, fantastic viewing. And all they had to do was stick on an hour-long press conference, I'll call that loosely. But great viewing. If you haven't watched it, go check it out on YouTube. It's definitely worth a view. I'm going to wrap things up here. But join us over the next few days over on Gimme Hell Yeah on Wrestling Royalty. I'll be back late on Friday night. I'm going to go see the new Iron Claw film. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the Iron Claw film tomorrow night. That'll be the kind of the stream bit. It will be later on, probably around midnight UK time, which I believe is about 7 Eastern time in the US. If you've seen the Iron Claw, let me know. Join me tomorrow. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. I'll be giving it a very brief sort of review, I guess, as we'll call it. I'm giving my thoughts on the Zac Efron-led Iron Claw, which of course is the story of the Von Erichs and the wrestling dynasty and their story. If you haven't kind of read about that, which is a great tale, very sad in places, but looking forward to discussing the Iron Claw tomorrow. So join me for a special stream tomorrow night. Be another quick one. But as I say, let us know your thoughts. And as always, thank you very much for joining us. I've been Andy. This has been Wrestling Royalty. Good night.